Hello and welcome to this figure build. I'm going to be running you through step by step on how I built Endurance of Will. Part 1! Collecting reference material. Finding a Mythic Knight was pretty easy just going through Warzone Firefight, and I went through with a fine-tooth comb over all the features that were very different from the Knights that we've got so far from Mega Bloks. For this build, the Knight Lancer was the perfect choice to work with. First part was cutting off all the major points of the back plates. Be very careful when it comes down to any hard cutting that you gotta do. Next step, I got my hands on my epoxy sculpt and went to work. First part that I started sculpting, which was the most identifiable part of the Knight Commander, are the 3 spines that it's got on its backplate. Sculpting those 3 parts separately, I would later hot glue them onto the Knight's back. I wanted to smooth out the backplates as well as basically make the profile a lot more identifiable as a Knight Commander as opposed to a Lancer. Knights in Halo 5 have a lot more pointy bits as opposed to large angular bits. They got a lot of curves on them. Next part had to have been the hardest part to capture, which was that the Knight Commanders have extra armor plating on their faces, as well as armored spikes around their crown, I guess you could say? These spikes are far more different than most of the Knights that we would encounter in Halo 4. The only one that had something the equivalent of such was the Knight Battle Wagon, but even then, it didn't have face or armor. It didn't have that much face armor as well as armored spikes. Sculpting the armor around the jaw had to have been the hardest part because if I screwed it up, I wouldn't be able to get the menace that a Knight Commander has when it's looking you dead in the eye. The process is very time-consuming, but it makes a world of difference. This part had to have been the hardest yet, just adding those little tiny spikes to the crown. No joke, halfway through, those things basically accidentally chipped off, so I had to hot glue them on. Very, very small dollops of hot glue. Finally adding a little bit of cleanup and smoothing over on the back plates. Finally, I added some epoxy to the sword so that it would look more like a blade as opposed to a hook. If I have my way next time, I'm probably going to try to see if I can actually sculpt out and mold the sword so it would be translucent plastic. And we are halfway done. Next comes painting. First step, black base coat. Gives your paint something to adhere to, as well as basically gives you something to work off of. We can see here in micro when I start working on Endurance of Will's Heartseeker. The major colors for a Mythic Knight? Red, gold, and black, as well as some orangey red for eyes and lights. The major colors for a Mythic Knight? Red, gold, and black, as well as some orangey red for eyes and lights. I had to do several coats to make sure that it had a flat, matte color scheme to it. With Promethean and Covenant stuff, it needs to have a super clean look. as opposed to human and banished looks, where you could have something that basically is very dirty and or scratched up or be very worn. I did this two ways where I decided to do the detailing for the Heartseeker. First, I took a couple of pieces of tape and tried to use it as a stencil, and then halfway through just basically decided screw it and I eyeballed the drawing. The stencil method is really good if you want to get those like sharp lines, but the eyeball method can work just as well. You just got to be very patient and very careful with how you paint.
Initiating Warzone firefight.
You dig, that was mine.
Too slow, my friend.
Knock it off, you two, or I will turn this car around.
But Sarge, it's a dick move to steal another man's kill when he's getting his stab on.
Enough. Get yourselves ready for the next wave.
Oh, this ought to be good. Promethean forces coming in.
I've got enough points for a tank. You think I should call it in?
This one is so mine.
Oh, he is so dead.
Oh, I've made a huge mistake. Wait, no!
Call in the tank. Call it now!